Nears its end, students ask questions about how they can change the world. And Warren Buffett and Bill Gates offer surprising insight into the true nature of success.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Tompkins. I'm a senior economics major. A lot of us are pursuing higher education because we want to leave the world a better place than the one we found it. And
That's terrific.
As one person at the end of the day who can actually affect tremendous amounts of people and ideas, how do you make your decisions?
You're changing the world every day. I mean, if it's nothing but the children you have, I mean, you are forming their view of the world, and you do it every day. So you are a teacher. But with the people around you, one of the best things in life to do is to surround yourself with high-grade people, because you will behave as the people around you do, but they in turn are getting it from you. It's kind of like a planetary system, and you will. I promise you, you will change the world in some way, and my guess is you'll change it very much for the better. But you can't expect to see something dramatic. I mean, it's not one of those Shazam moments or something of the sort. But you by how you're behaving are affecting other people, setting an example for other people. You will find ways to leave a better world than you entered.
And one thought I'd have on that is that I think it's very important as young as possible to get a broad exposure in this country to people who are less successful and the kind of conditions they're living in and what kinds of things are holding them back. Is education working to tap into people's talents and giving them the equal opportunity we believe in? And then ideally to get in many places in the world where living conditions aren't nearly what they are here in the United States. It's one of these things, when you first learn all of this, it's a little easy to be down because you think, geez, I didn't know it was like that. Things are improving, and the opportunity for capable people to jump in, whether it's helping with medicines, helping with educations, a small number of people can actually make a very dramatic difference.
Hello, I'm Daniel DiLoretto from Reno, Nevada. My question is, our society, or our generation, Generation Y, we face a lot of issues. What do you think are some of the most important or most challenging societal issues that we face, and what can we do as future leaders to ensure that we create a better society in the future?
I think the issues of equity that we have, whether it's between countries or even within our country, are pretty serious issues. And if you get too far out of whack on that, then you get a divide, and you don't get the fluidity and the sense of opportunity that this country has stood for. So I think we really got to renew our commitment to the ideals around equality, and I think there's a lot of actions that suggests we should be taking to invest in the long term that certainly at this stage we're not taking right now.
I can't say it better than Bill, but we got lucky tickets in life. I mean, we got a ticket that said American, we got a ticket that said intelligent, we got a ticket, that said this time rather than 200 years ago when the same talents would not have produced much. So we got a very lucky ticket in life. A lot of people don't get lucky tickets. We were over in China together 10 years ago, and we saw some people that wouldn't make any difference what their brain power was or anything else. They weren't going to have a chance, at least for a long, long time. I think we've got to do a much better job of not only taking care of the people that get the bad tickets in this country, but in doing what Bill and Melinda have done, which is going around the world and helping those people have things that we regard as absolute, givens in our society. I mean, Bill has taken vaccines to people around the world that die at very young ages, and families that get destroyed, and all kinds of things, for things that we could do something about. Those are the things that we should be working on in your generation.
Hello, I'm Jared Carlson, senior management major. My question is, if you could have one superpower, what would it be and why?
One superpower? Bill, you think more about that than I do.
I know extending one's lifetime would be a reasonable thing.
Yeah, I'll take notes if you have anything to say.
You know, I don't think being able to get rid of competitors, that wouldn't be much fun. That'd be like hitting a hole-in-one all the time. Being able to read super fast, yeah, that'd be nice.
That'd be huge. That'd be huge. Well, Bill can read, so I mean, he reads about 3 times as fast. And just think of, I mean, I probably wasted 10 years reading slowly. But, no, if you're talking about granting a wish, I mean, what you would, with the type of thing, I mean, what you really would hope is that somehow you could reduce the threat posed by nuclear knowledge in the world. I mean, that's going to be the great problem of mankind in your lifetime. And, you know, the knowledge is out of the bottle. The genie's out of the bottle on that. And you have a lot of evil people in the world. And then the question is, how do you prevent intent of evil people coupled with knowledge, which has now gotten more widespread, to interact in a way where huge amounts of damage are done to people throughout the world. And that's, I mean, that, if I could, I think that's the most intelligent thing to work on philanthropically, for example, but I don't know how to do it very well. We do a little, but that's, you know, that would be the wish. But the reason it's just kind of a dream is because the problem is so tough.
Hi, my name is Kristen Lovegrove. I'm a senior finance major. In our society that's so material and you and your families are so well off, how do you ensure that your children value things that aren't material and things that will truly make them happy in the end?
Well, I was a little lucky in that respect in that my kids didn't think I was rich. And I wasn't rich for a while. I mean, but even after I was, you know, we lived in the same house. There's only one house they've known in their life in terms of a primary home, and they went to public schools in Omaha, and we lived in a neighborhood where, and we still do, where the average income is probably more or less average for Omaha. So they really didn't have that problem. My kids didn't even know what I did. I mean, partly because I couldn't explain it very well, but they did not grow up in a rich environment. Now Bill's situation's different, and just in terms of you know, being a celebrity and all of that sort of thing, and that came late enough with me that it didn't really pose a problem for the family. But it has to be it's a significant factor, and I'll turn over to Bill.
Yeah, I can verify what Warren said about his house. I was very excited to go visit, you know, think, what has he done? What amazing things is he going to have? And I went into his dining room. He didn't even have seats on the chairs. And he didn't even know they were missing either. So I don't.
There's no hurry on these things, Bill. I mean,
I think it is tough, and perhaps particularly so when children grow up and have a very nice house and they think, you know, what are the real limitations? I do think there's some very basic things around giving them an allowance at a young age and sticking to that and having them decide, okay, you want to buy a candy bar today, that means you can't buy one in the future, and start to figure out that there are real limits. I do think we're lucky that our children will get to go to Africa and Asia and see how people live, and even from a young age understand that the United States is statistically an aberration, that the lifestyles we have, we should wish that many decades in the future that the world at large can live in these same ways, and, you know, hope that people treat them in a normal way and treat them for what they're actually good at. That, you know, would bother me a lot if they were being approached because somebody thought they could influence something. You know, it's an awful thing. Every kid should be evaluated based on who they are and what they're doing.
Our kids are rich or are going to be rich by the standards of the world. They don't think they're going to inherit a significant portion of the fortunes of either of us. I mean, 99% of what I have, it'll go to philanthropy one way or another, and Bill has the same attitude, basically, that we are not going to turn out some super wealthy kids. They'll be wealthy. I mean, there's no question about that. But the idea of dynastic fortunes, you know, I find it turns me off. I mean, I don't think it's what America's about. I don't think, if you talk about equality of opportunity in this country and really having everybody with talents having a fair shot at getting the brass ring and all of that, the idea that that you hand huge positions in society on simply because someone came from the right womb. You know, I find that, I just think it's almost un-American.
My name is Matthew Bodie. I'm a senior from Elgin, Nebraska. Several Eastern European countries have successfully enacted a flat income tax, and now there is growing pressure in Western Europe to do the same. Would you support the United States adopting a flat income tax, and why or why not?
Well, I wouldn't support it. You'd be amazed how flat it is already. If you look at both the payroll tax, which is over 12% now, and that applies on the first $80,000 or $90,000 of income. So Bill and I pay practically none of that in relation to our income. The people that work for us, it's a big, big tax. So if you take the tax that my assistant or anybody in our office pays, they've got 12% on that first $80,000 or $90,000, and then they have the income tax. And their tax rate, literally, in many cases, is not, well, it's the same and maybe even higher than my own tax rate, since they cut the rate on capital gains to 15% and dividends to 15%. So what has gone on in this country in the last, well, in very recent years, is a huge benefit to the very rich, and not that much relief to people down below. And people, when you read about tax rates, they usually leave out the payroll tax, and they don't refer to this 12 and a fraction percent. So we have come, in my view, to a taxation system that's much too flat in this country, and frankly, I think that Bill and I should have a higher tax rate on the income we get. We pay a lot of taxes, but it's really at a very low rate, and it's a rate that's less than half the tax rate that I was paying 25 years ago when I was making a lot less money. They have really taken care of the rich.
Yeah, I go along with that wholeheartedly. I think we probably need a more progressive system as we look to balance the budget, that at some point I think people recognize that needs to be done. Probably one of the ways that'll be done is that the rich should bear a somewhat higher proportion of the burden than they do today. Very large fortunes never go through an income tax. Maybe it's a little ironic, but both Warren and I would say things in several aspects of the tax system should be more progressive.
I could spend the rest of my life, and I could have done this 20 years ago, and actually pay no federal income tax, because I could have taken my Berkshire Hathaway stock, borrowed some money against it every year to live on, and when I died, then the estate would pay off the debt on it. But I could have gone through my life, a good bit of my life, without paying any income tax whatsoever. And I frankly think it's very unfair.
Hi, my name is Dan Senft. I'm a senior finance major. My question is, the Forbes 400 puts your collective net worth at $91 billion. By comparison, that figure exceeds the combined gross domestic product of the bottom 70 nations in the world. How do you feel that your immense wealth contributes to the balance of global prosperity?
Yeah, well, the wealth, in effect, is a bunch of, the prosperity comes about through the products that Microsoft turns out. They're changing the lives of millions and millions of people. In the process, you get these eventual claim checks on society's output. These little pieces of paper that I've got in a vault called stock certificates, can be turned in at some point to get goods and services of one sort or another. Basically, the money is going to go in a way that we think will have the most impact, beneficial impact on society, viewed on a global basis, not just on a national or regional basis. It will go, we hope, as intelligently as we can make it go, to change the lives of people all over the world. Now, there's two factors that enter into it. That's the amount you leave or put into charity, and then how efficiently you do it. Bill and Melinda, in my view, they run the largest one, but I would say they also, certainly among all the big ones or anybody that I know about, they run the most efficient one. They have literally said to themselves, how do we use this money to change in a major way for the better the lives of the most people in the world? What could be more rational? So they've combined what I would call head and heart with huge sums of money, And no one's gotten a result, in my view, like they have.
Yeah, I think the key point here is that owning, Warren owns a big piece of Berkshire. I own still a measurable piece of Microsoft. That's not consumption. What the limited resources of society you hit those limits as you consume. And so somebody who makes, say, 50 million and chooses to, just build mansions and have things happen for them, they are diverting resources in their direction instead of those resources being used, say, to help out people who are less successful. And so, in fact, if you can accumulate some of society's wealth through luck and skill and then make sure it's used on behalf, that the consumption overwhelmingly goes to the less fortunate, it's a little bit like Robin Hood. You're recycling wealth from that top part back, and it's incumbent on the people, the higher up that list you are, the more, in a sense, there's a responsibility to put not only the wealth but your brain power into those activities.
I am Allison Mack, a senior marketing major. As college students, we're constantly thinking and planning towards the future. Where do you personally envision yourself to be in 10 years?
I'm glad you didn't ask my doctor. I'll be, if I'm in decent health, I'll be doing exactly what I'm doing now because I'm doing what I love now. I mean, if I could do almost anything that doesn't require any athletic or mental ability. What do I choose to do? I choose to jump out of bed every morning and run down and work at Berkshire Hathaway, and I don't see anything that changes that. I'm doing what I love, and health will determine how long I can keep doing it. But I've told my children that when I start going gaga and spend my time spinning yo-yos and things like that, that they're to come to me and tell me that it's time to step down. But I've told them they better all come as a group because if just one comes, I'm going to take them out of the will.
Yeah, well, 10 years from now, I'll be turning 60. I have to say, every time the age 10 years older than me always seems like that's when I'll be old. When I was 40, I thought 50 would be that mark. Now that I'm very close to that, I think, no, that's not being old. My life's work in terms of creating a company is certainly around Microsoft. Over the next 10 years, my balance between the time I spend on philanthropic things versus my full-time job will switch somewhat in the favor of doing philanthropy, spending more time on that. It does mean I need to get one of the great young people at Microsoft to sort of get on the hot seat of setting the product strategy, which is a great part of my job. I love my job. It's an amazing job. I'll always be able to have some mix of Microsoft and then a bit more philanthropy.
Hello, my name is Paul Turnus. I'm a senior business administration and music major from North Dakota originally. I was wondering, what is your definition of success and what has been your largest non-business success in life?
Well, we played ping pong against a 9-year-old girl in San Francisco. 2 weeks ago, her name's Ariel.
Yeah, how many points did you get?
She got up, Bill got more points off her than I did. And I thought I was pretty good, too. And this little 9-year-old, it's disgusting. She should have been in bed. She totally cleaned us. No, that was a little humiliating.
I'd say in my case, my goal for success outside of work is definitely raising a family. Just getting started with that. And I think there's some unique challenges of when a parent is very visible and has money and things like that. It's not easy in any case to raise kids the right way. But I'd say I hope to be successful at that. So far I haven't caused them any damage. They seem to be doing okay.
We get a lot of people that want us to adopt them. I mean, he's working on his children, I'm working on my great-grandchildren, but otherwise we got the same approach. I would say this in terms of success. This will surprise you. But I would say I've never known anybody that got to my age or close to my age that had lots of people that loved them that felt anything other than a success. I mean, you have lived a successful life if, as you get older, the people that you hope love you do. And that includes your family, your business associates, all kinds of people. And the converse of that is that I know people enormously wealthy, they get schools named after them, and they get dinners in their honor, all that sort of thing. And the truth is that nobody thinks a thing of them. And I have to believe they know that, and that everything gets quite hollow in their life at that point. And they've got all these markers, and there's people on the Forbes 400, that are in that category. And I won't name names. But I can't think of anyone I've known, and I've known some, a lot of people by this point in my life. I've seen them in very ordinary jobs, all kinds of situations. If the people around them love them, they feel very successful.
Thank both of you so much. We appreciate you coming.